Hi, today we'll be showing you a standard demo of Syncom CPQ configuring a trailer. Today we'll be discussing improved user experience for direct sales, dealership channel, and e-commerce, making tribal knowledge accessible for all representatives generating quotes, and standardization of processes for generating specials, proposals, and bills of materials. The first segment of our presentation will be of a trailer quote generation. We'll be seeing improved user experience for direct sales, dealership channel, and e-commerce, rules, pricing, cross-selling and upselling, access to tribal knowledge, and escalating a special request. Here today we have Austin Nolan, Syncom Solution Architect, who will be walking us through a presentation of these points inside of Syncom CPQ. Austin, please take it away.
Thanks, James. Let me take over the screen. As James said, today we're going to be walking through what the quote generation process looks like from start to finish in a very basic overview. In this case, we're going to take first a look at what a salesperson would see, how they generate a quote, how they can add products to the quote, and configure them from there. Today, as James said, we're going to be going through a trailer demonstration, so I'll open up our trailer demo. From here, I can put in any sort of information such as the name I'd like to have on a quote, who the quote is for, and their contact at the quote. From there, I can add an actual product from our catalog. In this case, we're doing a semi-trailer today. This would allow you to have different product offerings, different product lines, and be able to select them from there, but they're all categorized. In this case, we're doing a drop deck trailer. And when I click Add to Quote, the next thing it's going to do is it's going to bring up the configuration. We know that tribal knowledge is quite a common problem for a lot of different manufacturers, and bringing up salespeople up to speed can be a difficult task. What Syncom CPQ does to help remedy this is brings in all that tribal knowledge from your experienced salespeople and makes it easily accessible from a new salesperson's perspective. In this case, we're going to go with a templated trailer today. In this case, we're going to build a basic drop deck trailer, and we'd like to build it out of aluminum. From here, when I click on recommend, it's going to then change my settings to a basic standard spec. Now, this is extremely useful because it allows your salespeople to get a general idea of what standard equipment should be on a configuration based off of the choices chosen. Now, this can be configured to be laid out however you'd like. If there's different criteria you'd like to throw in here, all this can be configured. In this case, I still, though, have the freedom to take the standard spec and make any sorts of changes that I'd like. In this case, I'm going to edit the kingpin setting. From here, I can come through and I can choose the 24-inch kingpin setting, and the configuration is happy. However, if I try to use a different configuration, such as a 24 kingpin setting with steel, that configuration is no longer valid. This means that an engineering rule is running in the background and basically denying the use of this. This allows so that way your salespeople create accurate quotes every time. It ensures that they cannot create a configuration that is not valid based off of engineering choices and engineering rules. From here, I'm going to go back to our 24-inch aluminum kingpin setting. And as I continue to go through, you'll notice up at the top, we do have everything broken up. In this case, from here, coming from design over to style, I can further choose any sort of choices that I need to make for my specification, such as if I need to increase the number of axles on the trailer. I can come through, make any changes that I need to make based off of what my customer requires, and go through and complete the configuration. In this case, we have an option that's not available. I am going to use what's called a special request. A special request is something that is not listed in the options, but can still be requested by the salesperson and sent off to engineering for approval. When I click on special requests, I can create a special request. In this case, we're going to do additional tie-down points. And I would like to specify, in this case, for this use scenario, I'd like it 151 inches from kingpin. When I click OK, that will then be submitted over to the engineering team. I then save my proposal, and any changes that I've been made will now be saved to the quote. When I click close, all of our pricing and everything else will be updated. You'll see as this loads, now we have our drop deck trailer, a basic product description of the drop deck trailer, which can be edited for further use, the number of trailers in each quote, as well as unit price and final price. It also includes any sort of information such as unit weight for freight or anything else like that. What's also great about this is it allows us to actually have what we refer to as a nested configuration. So on a quote that you'd like to have more than one configuration, in this case, if I'd like to have a drop deck trailer configured one way and still have another configuration of a drop deck trailer that is separate on the same quote, I have the ability to do so from here. In this case, next we're going to hand it back to James so that way he can talk a little bit more in the specials. James?
Thank you, Austin. The next segment of our presentation will be a review of our workflows inside of Syncom CPQ. Workflow in this case that we'll be looking at will be for special approvals, what Austin just showed to us, and we'll be demonstrating the roles inside of the portal and the view of the quote from that perspective. And Austin, if you are prepared to take it back, I'll be happy to pass the screen over to you.
Thanks, James. In this case, once again, we're taking a look at another persona inside of the actual company. In this case, we're looking at what the engineer would see when coming to actually approve any sort of special requests. Here we can see another special request that's come in. In this case, we're going to be looking at our special request. And from here, I can either approve or deny the actual request. Any sort of description that would have been filled in would be here. I'd be able to either reassign it to a particular team for, in this case, let's say that we have a frame engineer that needs to get on this. I can then add them to the actual quote. I can also assign any sort of priority on how soon I need to get this kicked out and attach any sort of due date. If I need to attach any sort of note or anything else, I can do so here. This would then allow me to either approve or deny and allow any or attach any sort of justification on why a special would be approved or denied, and then add any sort of special items onto the actual quote. And then when I click save, it gets kicked back to the sales engineer or salesperson that created the quote to begin with. They get a notification when I've done so, as you can see up in the top right-hand corner here. You'll also see it down below on the bottom section. In this case, as an engineer, I have not submitted any special requests. I only approve or deny them, so there's be nothing here. James, would you like to take it back so that way we can talk about workflows?
Thank you, Austin. Like you said, here in this next segment, we'll be looking over the workflows for other roles, including finance, inside sales, deal desk, and sales management. We'll also be seeing the completion of our quote. From the sales point of view, we'll see special requests approval process, quote summary, and proposal generation. We'll also be seeing the Syncom document generation system as well. Austin?
Thanks, James. As I share this next screen, we're going to be taking a look at what the salesperson would see again and discussing workflows as James was talking about. If you direct your attention up to the top part of the screen, you'll notice that we have a very rudimentary workflow in this situation. Now, this can be configured to suit your application, whatever that may be. In this case, if it needs to go off for engineering approval, we would have that underneath verify details. Same for if a sales manager needs to approve any sort of pricing or anything else before the quote is actually generated. We can lock certain things in the workflow so that way a salesperson cannot generate a quote without first going through the entire workflow process. And in this case, we're going to show you what that looks like today. As I click the finalize quote button up here, we're going to go through the next step. We're going to verify all of the details and make sure everything looks correct. Now, a sales manager could also look over this and then could have approval. In this case, when we go for check for approval, that will also send it off to the sales manager as well. From here, I can generate all of my documents, as this is a document stage. To do so, we come up to our top corner up here and we click generate or create document. What this will do, it allows me as a salesperson to generate a custom package of whatever I'd like to send off to the customer. Now, this is extremely useful for some companies that may have in-house financing or would like to include any sort of warranty information or anything else that may be needed inside of the quote. That way, it's all sent as one package. It's generated together, and any sort of information that needs to be filled can be auto-filled. In this case, I'm going to include everything. So when I click generate document, it takes a few seconds. And then all of my documents are going to be generated. The great thing about this is that it stays housed inside of CPQ. What that means is that you have one location that all of your master documents are saved. When I come up to the Documents tab and click on it and go to our Documents archive, we can see all the documents that now have been generated for this. The one that we're interested in today, though, is on the bottom one, in which I will click. it will automatically download to my computer. This is useful because if you need to generate any sort of documents to email, you can either have it sent via this, or you can send it in another body of an email, or if you just like to download it to your computer for records or any sort of other keeping. What you'll notice here is that all of our information is being autofilled. It only took me a few seconds to generate the quote. However, it has everything from the current date, our customer information, more customer information filled out here, our salesperson information, and anything that's included along with the quote. As I continue to scroll down through here, we have a basic overview of the quote in terms of our drop deck trailer. Now, this can be expanded upon to be including any sort of options, so that way the customer is aware of what it is they're getting. However, in this case, it's a very simplified version. Scrolling down even further, we have more specifications, as well as warranty documents and terms and conditions. Now, this can be linked into directly into some other software, such as DocuSign for automatic quote signing, anything else like that. We have the ability to tap into multiple different product offerings in terms of what it is that you'd like to incorporate into your sales quoting process. The great thing about Syncom CPQ is its flexibility. From there, I'm going to hop back into what our quote screen looked like as I close this out. After I've generated any sort of documents, we can continue to go through the workflow. And since the documents have been sent off to the customer and signed, in this case, we can then place the order. The information from this order will then be sent over to your ERP system, where it can be autofilled into your ERP and planned for production. From here, you'll still be able to track the status of the actual quote in terms of all the way from the initial quoting stage to the build stage to the completion and delivery to the customer, all in one location. From there, James, would you like to talk about our other product capabilities?
Absolutely. Thank you, Austin. Additional possible capabilities that we find are popular among our prospects and customers are our Dynamics 365 CE or CRM portal integration, our e-commerce portal, and our ERP integration, as well as 3D visualization, engineering workflow and subassembly information, with that revisions and repricing, finalized order placements, including pushing data to the ERP, our no-code, low-code administration and maintenance for IT product managers or whomever it might be that's maintaining a CPQ system. Roles and views in CPQ for all these responsibilities and many more, all available upon request. With any other questions or comments, concerns about Syncom CPQ, please reach out to Syncom directly to speak with one of our representatives. Thank you very much for viewing our demo today, and we look forward to speaking to you soon.